One car has captured the imagination of the public better than any other in recent memory. A car so exciting upon its debut, the internet's tubes were nearly completely clogged by hashtags and Twitters. It's been the cause of barroom fights and schoolyard shoving matches. It's pitted gearhead against gearhead, and now I get to drive it. The 2013 Scion FR-S. The Scion FR-S is a bit of a bizarre love child. Its development was paid for by Toyota, but executed by Subaru. Here in the States, we'll see two versions, in fact. We'll see a Scion FR-S around $24,000 and a Subaru BRZ, which is a bit more expensive. It's worth mentioning, however, we in the United States are the only ones to see a Scion version. The rest of the world will see a Toyota GT86 alongside the Subaru BRZ. Underneath the hood is a Subaru-developed, horizontally opposed 4-cylinder boxer engine producing 200 horsepower, 151 pound-feet of torque. The FR-S is arguably a car that Toyota and the motoring world as a whole has desperately needed. I'll get to why in a minute. The FR-S stands for Front Engine Rear-Wheel Drive Sport, the original concept of which was inspired by some Toyotas of old, most notably the AE86 Corolla, which was also a front-engine rear-wheel drive car. It was small, light, simple, and I loved it. In fact, I even owned one. It's a new take on an old idea, this, and heralded as one of the greatest driving cars of our generation. So I took it to one of the greatest driving roads, the Pacific Northwest, Oregon 242, the Mackenzie Highway. Originally built in 1962, this 36-mile stretch of road carves its way through the Oregon Cascade Mountains and runs between the towns of Belknap Springs and Sisters. The Scion FR-S is the first rear-wheel drive sports car from Toyota in quite some time, and though the boxer engine is small at only 2 liters, it packs a hefty punch. That's thanks in large part to the direct fuel injection system from Toyota, borrowed from the Lexus ISF, called D4S. Depending on engine speed, the system flips between direct and port injection to fill up mid-range torque. Another advantage of the boxer motor in a rear-wheel drive car is that it's flat and can be mounted low. The FR-S benefits from a rear-wheel drive only setup by having a front-to-rear weight ratio of 53 to 47, which is similar to the Ferrari F430. So when I tell you it handles well, you might believe why. Sending the power to the road in the back is the Torsen limited slip differential. The limited slip rear end actively works to keep the torque going to the wheel that has the most grip. As I turn into the corner here, the inside wheel slows down and travels a shorter distance, and as the weight shifts, the outside wheel receives more traction. The Torsen limited slip differential senses this weight shift and seamlessly sends power to the appropriate wheel. The result is pure handling magic. And though I am by no means a world-class driver, out here on this road in the FR-S, I feel a bit like Senna. Yes. But then I came upon a very strange bit of road. Oh my God, look at this place. It's like the surface of the moon. To my surprise, in the middle of Highway 242 is a spectacular 2,600-year-old 65-square-mile lava flow. Completely amazed by the scenery, I decided to pull over and more closely study the FR-S's exterior design. The exterior of the Scion FR-S harkens back to an even earlier Toyota than the AE86, to the 1967 2000 GT. For those of you who aren't familiar, it was a beautiful yet short-lived front-engine, rear-wheel drive sports car, unfortunately built in the era of 2-ton pony and muscle cars. The FR-S, however, has been built at the exact right time. It's right now when light, rear-wheel drive sports cars are at their peak of popularity. And while the FR-S is arguably gorgeous, I can't help but feel like they toned it down a bit too much. They neutered it to appeal to a wider audience. It feels like you've been promised a date with Anne Hathaway, but when you go pick her up, Kristen Stewart answers the door. I mean, I guess it'll do. The interior is a different story altogether. Toyota hasn't phoned it in whatsoever. The seats are really well bolstered, they look great with the red accents, even have space in the back for 2 legless passengers. Up on the instrument cluster, you got a center tack with a light that you can set to flash above 2,000 RPM, telling you to shift at 100 RPM intervals. You can also set a chime to go off right before red line. Why anyone would want that feature though, I don't know. You know, it must be for deaf people who can't hear the engine. Or blind people who can't see the tack.
The Softskin Dash 2 was inspired by the faded 2000 GT and includes a ridge near the windshield which indicates the center of the vehicle.
Not surprisingly, the Scion FR-S has been fitted with traction control, and keeping with its simple mentality, it's disabled with the push of a single button. I've been told the vehicle is most fun with it partially disengaged, so now let's go for a drive. Some people have been critical of the Scion FR-S, saying that it's too slow at only 200 horsepower and should have been a Toyota Celica and never a Scion. I don't care about any of that. What I care about is how it handles, it drives. Oh goodness. Yes, it is a little bit slow before 4,000 RPM, but once you're above them, and it loves to be above them, it just hugs the road and screams and pulls you through like you would never have imagined. Especially from a $24,000 car that gets 24 miles to the gallon. I had a feeling I would love the FR-S, but I really actually didn't fathom I would love it as much as I do. It is exactly what I want to see in the motoring world. Light, simple, cheap cars, rear-wheel drive, brilliant. I simply love it. 24,000 bucks, you really can't beat it, especially since I'm getting 24 miles to the gallon at the moment. I've been driving it like a fool. The FR-S only weighs 2,800 pounds, but it actually feels like it weighs a lot less. Some other great handling Asian cars like the 370Z and the Hyundai Genesis Coupe feel like they've used engineering to overcome their huge mass, that they handle in spite of those obstacles. The FR-S feels like it is just light and nimble, and you're not fighting anything, you're just in perfect harmony with the road. It's fantastic. After having driven this brilliant car on this beautiful road, I can't help but wonder why it's taken us so long to get back to this point. Good looking, good handling, fuel efficient, affordable sports car. Why for so long did we have to choose between Japanese and domestic front-wheel drive sports coupes or financial slings and arrows of owning a German sports car? At this point, I'd like to think of something poignant, some sort of conclusion about the motoring world and the FR-S in general. But I can't really think of anything. So maybe we'll conclude with, the grass is greener always on the other side. Or, you can lead them to water, but you can't make them drink. It's better to love than lost, and to never have loved at all. A closed mouth? Yeah, there's no front.
And while it's obvious from my ramblings I'm no sage intellectual, I can confidently say that the Scion FR-S, dollar for dollar, is the most exciting car I've ever driven, and that it's very, very good.